Alright, good evening guys, it's Jeff. I'm back again, back just after a day or so this time. Please excuse my voice, it's a little husky at the moment. I've had a bit of a cough over the last week or so. So I'm a bit croaky today. This is kind of video's going to be a little bit of a follow-up, I suppose, to the one I did a couple of days ago. And it's more or less, it's going to be, it's more in response to something I've been reading today, an article I've read, or some bit of news I've read. I've read this on several websites, but for the purpose of this one, I'm rereading this off of the BBC's BBC News website. And this video is going to be about atheism and morality. And the reason being that there's this study been done by the University of Kentucky, and it's been published in the journal The Human Nature Behavior. And they apparently interviewed more than 3,000 people across 13 different countries. And one of the, this is a quote I'm going to read here, that atheists are broadly perceived to be potentially morally depraved and dangerous. That's even in secular countries, apparently. Bearing in mind that technically the United States is a secular country, I wouldn't put too much into that. But this is going to say, this is not proof one way or the other. This study's about people's perceptions of atheists and so on, and versus religious people. Now, I don't think, we can, I wouldn't necessarily stand here. I'm not going to sit here and argue that we are more or less moral than people who are believers in any religion whatsoever. I don't think that is the case. I don't think, it's a difficult thing to me to really quantify it. I wouldn't know where to begin. If I was going to make a case that we're more moral than, say, religious people, I'd need some evidence to back that up, and I don't have evidence to back that up, so I'm not going to make that argument. How do I set about proving that if I'm going to make that argument? I don't know where to begin doing that, so I'm not going there. But again, what I said, this study is about people's perceptions of, what they think about atheists, really. Which is something, I've talked about a couple of misconceptions yesterday or so on. Right, okay. Now, I think when it comes to, because this is a thing I think I've heard a few times about, where atheists, where do we get our morality from and so on. I think we've got a very good sense of what's right and wrong and so on. And I'm going to say that, really, what I'm going to do, actually, there's a very good video by Matt Dillahunty, which I'm going to put in the description of this. It's about a 30-minute video, and he can definitely articulate this argument a lot better than I can. So I suggest if anyone wants to look a bit further, watch this Matt Dillahunty video. Now, I did say, right, that for the purpose of this, I'm reading this off the BBC website. One other, thing that I did read it off was a Christian website who put more in the headline of people think that atheists are more likely to be serial killers, so they're putting that in the most damning terms possible. And listen, I don't want to pick on Christians here, I really don't, but I'm gonna, for argument's sake, and because it was I saw a Christian website post that, I am gonna take you to task a little bit, but I don't want to pick on you. But you're also mainly Christians that I've had this kind of discussion with, more than anyone else. Okay, so those are kind of more the arguments I'm familiar with. And one thing I'll say about morality is it can be a shifting thing. I think what we perceived as maybe being moral 500 years ago or 1,000 years ago, 15, go back, whatever, would not be what's considered moral now. We wouldn't consider burning witches a moral thing to do now. So, there is that kind of argument to be had. And interestingly enough, that is the same argument that a lot of Christians do come back with. Well, I'll say a lot of Christians, not all Christians, okay? I'm going to say a lot of Christians that I've spoken to made that very same argument to me when I've brought up some really quite stuff that, that in modern senses we would consider utterly immoral that is in the Bible. And they say, well, that was, like, for example, how it endorses slavery and so on. Exodus 21:7, for example, that's the one I can remember off the top of my head. I haven't even got time to go into all the kind of things in the Bible, which are, to me, reprehensible. There's a lot. There's a hell of a lot. I could do an entire series on that. But I don't know that, but so that's kind of what I'm sort of saying, that, it's a bit weird that, a lot of Christians make that argument. And the problem with, when you do make that argument is you're also arguing that your holy book is the infallible word of God and the guide to morality, where you get your morality and so on from. So just maybe take that into account a bit before you maybe approach an atheist with that kind of argument again, okay? Now, like I say, I think the best thing I'll do, I'm going to, put this, Matt Dillahunty video in the description. I think I'd recommend people to watch. But again, this, I think, is about says a lot more about some very strange perceptions I'm coming to realise that people have about atheists. I know there's some weird ideas, about atheists in sort of the United States and whatever, and maybe not so much here in the UK. We're not quite stigmatized here, but there are some people I've had some bizarre conversations with about stuff. So, okay, but yeah, just to sum up, really, I think atheists can have a very good sense of morality, and we don't need God, or we don't need the fear of some cosmic justice or divine justice or karma or anything like that, okay? Whatever you want to use, we don't need that kind of concept to have good moral values, in my opinion, that are progressive moral values. I don't think we do not need God for that. That's just my opinion on it. So, all right. Like I said, do check this video from Matt Dillahunty out, I think, because he can definitely articulate this better than I can, because I can't talk too good at the moment, and I'm not an academic or an intellectual or anything really, so okay. All right, I shall see you guys later. All right, salute.